Jon Jones called us last night and retired. Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Jones quit. Said it a couple weeks ago that if he didn't fight this guy, Jon Jones quit. And tonight, Dana White announced
the fact that the illustrious career of Jon Jones, the supposed greatest of all time, ends at a post-fight press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, is a joke. Is an absolute joke. I'm sorry, but this is an absolute joke. Time of his life, when he's killing everyone, beating them by knockout in 60, 70, 80 seconds, he had to sit around and wait for a guy because the UFC didn't want to move on in what was something that could have been determined back in November.
That by not stepping in that octagon, he quit. He didn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. It's so surprising.
Until he retires, because there's no way on earth he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
The MMA world has just witnessed the end of an era. After months of speculation, UFC President Dana White officially confirmed that Jon Jones has retired, and the heavyweight throne now belongs to Tom Aspinall, who is recognized as the undisputed UFC Heavyweight Champion.
Jon Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC. It is what it is. I obviously feel bad for Tom that he lost all that time and obviously money. Yeah, we'll make it up to him. Tom Aspinall's a good guy. He's been incredible through this whole process that we've gone through. He's been willing to do anything, fight him anywhere at any time and do this, and now he's like, I'll fight anybody. Tell me who and I'll fight him. So Aspinall's been great. He's going to be a great heavyweight champion for us, and I'm excited to work with him.
Dana White announced that Jon Jones called him last night to confirm his retirement, making it official. Jon Jones is retired, and Tom Aspinall is now the UFC Heavyweight Champion. The announcement sent shockwaves throughout the MMA world. For over a year, the heavyweight division had been stuck in limbo, with fans, fighters, and analysts growing increasingly restless as negotiations for a Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall showdown dragged on with no resolution. Dana White had even set a deadline for Jones to commit or be stripped of his belt, and last night that saga came to an end with a single phone call. Shortly after, Jon Jones announced on social media, saying, "Today I'm officially announcing my retirement from the UFC. This decision comes after a lot of reflection, and I want to express my deepest gratitude for the journey I've experienced over the years. From the first time I stepped into the octagon, my goal was to push the boundaries of what was possible in this sport, becoming the youngest UFC champion in history, defending my title against some of the best fighters in the world, and sharing unforgettable moments with fans across the globe. These are memories I'll cherish forever. I've faced incredible highs and some tough lows, but every challenge has taught me something valuable and made me stronger, both as a fighter and as a person. I want to thank the UFC, Dana, Hunter, Lorenzo, my family, coaches, teammates, and all the fans who have stood by me throughout every chapter. Your unwavering support and belief have been my foundation. To my fellow fighters, thank you for bringing out the best in me and for the respect we've shared inside and outside the cage. As I close this chapter of my life, I'm looking forward to new opportunities and challenges. MMA will always be a part of who I am, and I'm excited to see how I can continue to contribute to the sport and inspire others in new ways. Thank you all for being part of this incredible journey with me. The best is yet to come.
How are you? Good, man. Nice to meet you, too. Good. All the best. Sure.
The announcement came during a press conference in Azerbaijan just hours after a UFC event, where Dana White revealed that Jon Jones, 37, had reached out to the promotion the night before to make his decision clear. For months, White and the UFC had tried to finalize a heavyweight title unification bout between Jones and interim champion Tom Aspinall, but negotiations dragged on, deadlines passed, and the matchup never materialized.
I will retire Jon Jones. Without even fighting him. That's something I said.
Tom Aspinall had been vocal for months, insisting he would be the man to force Jon Jones into retirement long before the official announcement. Aspinall confidently predicted that if Jones ever had to choose between facing him or walking away, he would opt for retirement. Now that Dana White has confirmed Jones's decision to step down and relinquish the heavyweight crown, Aspinall's words have proven prophetic. On social media, fans quickly resurfaced Aspinall's earlier statements and predictions, highlighting how he called this outcome well in advance. With Jones officially out and Aspinall crowned the undisputed champion, It's clear that Aspinall's persistence and self-belief played a pivotal role in reshaping the heavyweight division.
The fact that the illustrious career of Jon Jones, the supposed greatest of all time, ends at a post-fight press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, is a joke. Is an absolute joke. I'm sorry, but this is an absolute joke. Tom Aspinall is going to Las Vegas. At the very least, present him the title. At the very least, do something to make it up for this guy who has been sitting there watching his career just waste away for the past 7 months. Oh, by the way, his last fight was almost a year ago, 11 months. Do something. This is the way it happens. This is the way it happens.
But it wasn't just the fans and media reacting. Some of the biggest voices in the sport weighed in as well. After Dana White's announcement, Ariel Helwani offered a passionate and critical reaction on his show, expressing disbelief and disappointment at how the UFC handled the news of Jon Jones's retirement and Tom Aspinall's promotion. He felt it was disrespectful to both fighters, especially to end Jones's legendary career with a brief announcement at a post-fight press conference in Baku, rather than giving it the grandeur it deserved. He also argued that Aspinall, after waiting so long, deserved a proper ceremony or moment to mark his elevation to undisputed champion.
And anyone who tells you otherwise is not telling you the truth. As I've said time and again, Jon Jones asked for a lot of money. He asked for the number that everyone was talking about. He's asked for a lot of money, and as I said time and again, he deserved that money. He earned that money. After much negotiation, the UFC got him that money. Did they ask for help? That remains to be seen, but they got him the number. And Jon Jones said he was in. And then a couple of days later, he said he was out. And ever since then, the UFC has been trying to convince him to come back, take the fight, one last fight. And he said no. He's doing the reality show. He's living his best life. He's doing seminars, all this stuff. He's tweeting away. And so they've known for quite some time, several months, that he was out. Dana White told us a couple of weeks ago. What did he say? Jon Jones agreed. But I told you all, he wasn't telling you the real story. He wasn't telling you the full story. The full story was he agreed and then he reneged. Dana White guaranteed this fight would happen. He guaranteed it would happen as recently as a couple of weeks ago. It was already not a thing. The way in which this has been handled has not been great. And the fact that Tom Aspinall, at the very least, couldn't get some sort of, oh, here's the belt, here's a ceremony, here's your fight, here's your date, is shameful. Now, ultimately, Tom doesn't care about any of this. He really doesn't. He just wants to fight. It was never about Jon Jones. As I've said time and again, Jon Jones was a great addition to the whole scenario, to the equation. Oh, wow, I could beat Jon Jones to become UFC Heavyweight Champion, undisputed, incredible. Look at me, look at the stars have aligned for me. But ultimately, this guy just wanted to become champion. He wanted to prove he was the best. And by the way, he has been the best for the last couple of years. Time of his life, when he's killing everyone, beating them by knockout in 60, 70, 80 seconds, he had to sit around and wait for a guy because the UFC didn't want to move on in what was something that could have been determined back in November.
Ariel then broke down the behind-the-scenes reality, explaining that it had been clear for some time that Jon Jones had no intention of fighting Tom Aspinall. According to Ariel, Jones was never interested in that matchup, and the UFC had known for months that he was out. Instead, Jones was angling for other big-money fights, such as with Francis Ngannou or Alex Pereira. But when those didn't materialize, he chose to walk away on his own terms, preserving both his legacy and his unbeaten record at heavyweight.
But by not fighting Aspinall, he opened the conversation. He lets you, every one of you, question why he doesn't fight him. I told you guys, when you are 37, 38, 39, it's much different looking in the mirror than you are at 28, 29 years old, like he was when he was fighting us. You're a different human being, especially when you've lived a pretty hard life or a life where you enjoy the spoils that come with
Another big name to weigh in was Daniel Cormier. DC has been clear in his stance. If Jon Jones retires without fighting Tom Aspinall, he considers it quitting. He explained that fighting has always defined Jones's career, and by not stepping into the cage with Aspinall, Jones is turning away from the one challenge that could have truly cemented his legacy as heavyweight champion. Cormier believes that walking away now leaves unfinished business and gives fans a reason to question Jones's place in heavyweight history. As someone who has faced Jones twice and knows him better than most, Cormier reacted strongly to the news. He said that by retiring without fighting Aspinall, Jones isn't quitting out of fear, but because he's choosing to step away from the challenge that could have defined the final chapter of his career. Cormier added that it's normal for older champions to lose motivation after years of dominance, but this decision will always leave fans wondering what might have happened if Jones had faced Aspinall.
So, seems as though he lived a pretty fun life. And you got a young, hungry champion that goes, I want to kick this dude's ass, especially when you know you've got millions of dollars in the bank. You're doing very well. You just bought a brand new, beautiful home in Albuquerque, but you know what it takes. You know what you went through to beat me. You know what you went through to beat Stipe. You know what you went through to beat Gustafsson. You know what it took to get there, but you don't have that desire to do so.
DC also reflected on his own rivalry with Jones, saying that, like other great champions, Jon had a chance to leave the ladder down for the next generation, and by choosing not to do so, he's inviting debate about his legacy.
Francis Ngannou. But he didn't talk about fighting this guy because he never truly had any intention of fighting this guy. Tom Aspinall was waiting. The UFC was waiting. Everybody's waiting for a decision when in reality, you're the heavyweight champ. You're supposed to fight. You go out there and you do the job. Go away right now opens the door for people to start having the conversation about.
DC notes that it's not about fear. He doesn't believe Jon Jones is scared, but says that age, success, and a comfortable life can change a fighter's motivation. He points out that when you've already accomplished so much and have financial security, it becomes much harder to take on a young, hungry contender.
Going to have
like
to
Tom
someday. I'm not saying he should retire. I'm saying he should think about it. Give the man all the time he wants. Fight whenever he wants to fight. That's Jon Jones. He's the GOAT. So leave him alone. If he decides one day to come back, and he comes back and he wants to fight Tom Aspinall.
Joe Rogan had already called this out on his podcast, describing the moment as bittersweet, acknowledging Jon Jones's greatness while also expressing excitement for the new era Tom Aspinall brings to the heavyweight division. Rogan said, Jon Jones is the GOAT, but Tom Aspinall is the real deal, fast, powerful, and hungry. The division is in good hands. He also pointed out how Jones's departure opens the door for fresh matchups and a more active heavyweight title picture, something fans have been craving for
In the
over a
short
year.
term, he's walking, he's a chicken, he's yellow. He was going to lose anyway. That is inevitably going to happen. But if Tom's very first opponent is Surreal Gone, Jon went through Surreal like a hot knife through butter. We have never seen the heavyweight title contested with less competition. So let's say that Aspinall drew into Surreal. Aspinall went right through Surreal. First round, completely dominant. Just for example, then all of a sudden the talk of Jon, what he could have done and should have done, is going to be open for fair play. But meanwhile, people that were calling Jon, he got a yellow stripe and he's a coward. If Surreal and Tom was to go out and really battle, regardless of outcome, really put on a close back and forth, that is where you would be forced, even if you were one of the yellow belt, he's a coward crowd, to admit, wow, that Jon Jones, he sure was.
Chael Sonnen was also vocal about the situation, breaking down how the MMA world would react if Jon Jones retired without ever facing Tom Aspinall. He explained that in the short term, many fans and critics would call Jones a chicken or claim he walked away because he was afraid to lose. Sonnen pointed out that this kind of talk is inevitable when a dominant champion leaves with an undefeated record at heavyweight and a dangerous contender still waiting in the wings. However, Chael also said that public opinion can shift based on Aspinall's performances as champion. If Aspinall dominates his next opponent, especially someone Jones had already beaten with ease, people might wonder how Jones would have fared against him. But if Aspinall struggles or finds himself in a tough, competitive fight, even Jones's harshest critics will have to acknowledge just how good he really was. Jon Jones's retirement and Tom Aspinall's rise to undisputed heavyweight champion. Was this the right time for Jones to walk away, or did he leave unfinished business in the cage? And can Aspinall live up to the hype and lead the heavyweight division into a new golden era? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more breaking news and expert analysis from the world of MMA.